I love Florida, man. So how'd you end up in Florida? Because if I'm not mistaken, memory serves me correct, you're a New York boy, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was born in Puerto Rico. I
Oh,
was born
okay.
and raised there. Yeah.
Oh, I
I
didn't
went
know
to
that.
I went to elementary school and everything over there. And
Oh, fuck.
yeah. But then my grandparents decided to move over here, and we moved to New York City at first. And my grandmother had ties in regards to upstate New York, and she was like, "I really want to move up there." So, we lived in New York City for some time, and then because my father stayed in New York City, he lived in New York City. It's a long story, but I was living with my grandparents. My father was a salsa musician, so my man had, his he was booked. I was better off with my grandma. So,
Okay.
yeah, I stayed with my grandma and did the whole nine, and spent some time in upstate New York, right by Canada. As a matter of fact, I got to visit Toronto in a school field trip. I just remember the large amount of homeless people that were there, and I felt terrible. It was a big eye opener going for Toronto. Shouts out to all those people who aren't living at home. So that's a difficult situation. But anyhow, ended up going there, had a wonderful time. Saw the Lion King live, did the whole thing. Long story short, upstate New York, did the military from there. Joined the army. I was just not doing anything productive at 17. You know how it is when you're young. You're just not guided. I didn't have a strong influence in school. Said fuck it, and joined the army and did close to 4 years in the army. And here we are. Just got out.
Which I find crazy because I'm
Yeah,
obviously, as everybody knows, I'm Canadian, as the fucking show's called
it's
Canadian
fucking
Talkin
awesome.
Shop,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So military for us is kind of different. It's odd. It's not as predominant and as pushed and as present as the American military, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
what was that experience like? Did you just like grow up and say, "Hey, I'm not doing shit. I'm just going to go into the army?" Or were you recruited actively and then you're like,
Mm.
"Huh, maybe I should do this?"
Yeah, I think I was raised, I'm sorry, in like a farm in Puerto Rico. So we used to wear camouflage all the time. And it was like my brother and I were just real Rambo like. And then even growing up in Rochester, they used to call me Rambo because I would always wear camo. So I was something that I've always like, the movies. I grew up with Van Damme, bro, with subtitle, not even Spanish, the voiceovers in Spanish.
Oh
Steven
shit.
Seagal is like a god, right? Despite the fact that he gets a lot of slack, people hate him. That's my guy. I don't care if my man LaBelle choked him out. Anyhow, so he made him shit his pants. But anyhow, that's my
Oh,
guy. I grew up with those guys, and the military was just something that I felt like it was a part. Like I got to do this, right? Like Hollywood sold it to me so well that I had to do it, especially during the '90s.
oh yeah,
So
yeah. They were big
yeah,
movies in the 90s with the military.
yeah, bro, Bloodsport, bro. I used to pray to that. Like it's one of my like, anyhow. So yeah, so I joined a combat job. It was Army recon. We did the whole reconnaissance thing, and yeah, just by sheer luck, right? The United States was at war again, as always. We love a good war.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I was like, man, shit. But believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, from a military perspective, if you're a combat soldier and you don't go to war, it's like you're part of a baseball team and you didn't get to play. It was
Right.
like you were like, so just to put it in perspective, that's kind of like you're benching, like when you're not deployed. So it sucks. And you look forward to those moments. So yeah, I got an opportunity to do that. Figured out it wasn't as fun as the movies. I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, people shoot back, bullets get close, people die.
So where did you go?
It's
Where
just
was your first tour?
I went to Afghanistan. Yeah,
Okay.
I went to Afghanistan and I did a 12-month tour over there. We went to this place in Nuristan. There's a movie on Netflix called The Outpost, and that's about us.
Really? Oh, okay, I'll put
You
that
know,
in the link. I'll put it in the description link to find
yeah,
that movie just so people know what you're talking about.
sure. It's a great movie. Had a blast with that, and ultimately just I mean, it was the movie's a little bit watered down
Of course, it's
because it's
Hollywood.
right, and they the time frame was off, but the place looked exactly like it. It was trials and tribulation on a daily basis in regards to either staying alive. It was insane. It was a difficult situation to put a military unit in. But nonetheless, we did the whole thing and we enjoyed it. What was the question again? Just the weed, man. I fucking forgot the weed, man.
Don't even worry. The shit like that makes for great sound bites, man.
Oh my God, no, shit.
Basically, the question was your first deployment, which you answered. But
Yeah.
What was
sure.
So you get to Afghanistan. What's your
Yeah.
mind frame on the plane ride over there? What's your mind frame as soon as you get off and take a look around?
You just, it's a culture shock, but you don't have too much time to glaze and absorb. You're always moving. They're always taking you somewhere. You're with a group of people all the time. You're here, you're there. We went to Bagram, and Bagram is a safe zone in Afghanistan where there's all sorts of military people. Long story short, they have like DQ there. They have like, you know, like
what's
they
DQ?
have DQ is you ever heard of Blizzard? Like DQ is a restaurant, a fast
Dairy
food
Queen,
chain.
Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen. I'm sorry.
I thought you were talking on some military terms. I'm like, what the fuck's a DQ?
Oh shit, nah. Yeah, like A1. Nah, I won't fuck with you like that, bro. But they had like DQ and fast food restaurants and stuff like that, and it was like, well, this is it. This is the war. We got DQ at the war. Like, this was insane. But it wasn't my first assignment. We went there to transfer over. Ended up transferring over and really seeing, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be at. They drop you off in some shit that they don't have no electricity. We were living amongst the people. So it was mud huts, right? It was a culture shock, bro. But I didn't have time to absorb it. As a 20-year-old, I was just going, man. I was going at 1,000. Right. And it was one of those things where my first firefight was when it got real for me. Like, there's something going on outside. Like, imagine if we were just chilling and I have to run out now with my, right? I got to just handle whatever the fuck is out there. And you don't know what's past that door. And you don't know if you're going to come in from that door after you go through it with your buddies. And it was like that a lot, you know? So I think because of basic training, you're kind of shaped into this. And basic training sucked, right? It's personal. There's a guy yelling at you. When you went over there, everybody's kind of relaxed in a way. Like, they're like, hey, we're in the shit now. This isn't like basic. We're going to treat you like an adult, but you got to also comport yourself like an adult. So they held you to a certain standard. And you just kind of learned from that. And you just went, right? And you just put up with it. And I wasn't in an infantry platoon. So we had very small guys. It was like 23, like, no, not even like, it was like 15, 16 of us in 4 groups. We're like 40 of us, 50 of us. And we're just defending a whole combat outpost just by ourselves. And it's not a lot of people, you know, you could get outran at a moment's notice. So we had a pulled guard, we had to do missions, and a lot of stuff had been done, but not to sound like I'm rambling, man, and I'm sorry, but
hey, that's cool. No, you're just speaking the story. I'm enjoying it, so keep going.
Yeah, it's, you know, like I said, if you guys check out the outpost, but you know, you lose people and you don't have time to cope with it, man. You're just shooting back. You know what I'm saying? And then you pick up a third perspective, and maybe not a lot of people pick this up, and you might want to, I don't know if this is where it gets too real. You guys might want to edit this out, but it's more like you start wondering, what the fuck are you doing there? You know what I'm saying? Like, these fucking people don't want us here. They're playing us for money, and rightfully so. We're in their fucking neighborhood, right? And you're just like, imagine if we came over to your place and we're like, hey, man, we're going to do some building infrastructure. We're going to take care of you. And it's like, who the fuck are you guys? The Gestapo? Like, you know, we don't look like people who are coming to help fix. So, and I love my service, and I'm not saying that, dude, I'll do it again in a heartbeat, sign up again. But I'm just giving you that third perspective from being there, that the country music and that we'll put a bullet in your ass. And it's like, is that really what we did over there? You know? So that was my service. That's what I did. I did that. And then I was on a personal security detachment team for a colonel after coming back. But crazy, I come back from war, right? And I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if you guys knew about this, but 2 weeks later, there's a major shootout in the fucking base I'm in. So I'm coming back from being safe, right? And you're just like, oh, it's taking time to decompress, right? You're going at 1,000 miles per hour and you're at home. And then this fucking major guy goes crazy. I'm living across the street from that. He's going off with his fucking rifle. And it's just like, I didn't have time to decompress. Like, I was just going, bro. Like, it was shootout after shootout. It was insane, man. And then I have to transport to another base so I could be mentally ready to meet new guys. And there's no decompression. No,
there's not a single second to breathe because you're literally, your life is every day.
Right. So it was just, my God, like, it was just, you were running out of thousands. So if you got to put it into a word, you really couldn't, but it was like you shoved it in there. Like, that was my military experience. Like, this small box, and the item inside it is bigger than what the box is, the size of the box. And that's my Army experience in a nutshell. Like, it was a lot.
I couldn't even fathom something like that, to be honest with you. And it's cool to hear the perspective of an actual military serviceman, because being Canadian, it's not like I know too many Americans that served in the military, right?
Right.
A lot of my American friends and everything I've met through online and whatnot, but I believe you might be the first and only one I know that's actually done service.
Really? I got a couple friends who served, done their time, and got the fuck out, gone to Canada, and I love them for it. Like, yeah, bro, live the dream. Like, I hear you. Like,
I served my country. Now I'm just gonna go live in a little chiller one for a little while.
See what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. That's
sure.
Awesome.
And that's the thing is they sensationalize it so much on movies and TV, and we look back and we see, and that's why I find it extra interesting to actually hear real perspective. Because obviously it's Hollywood and we know better. Half of it is bullshit, right?
Sure, man. Sure.
But I just like trying to understand your mind frame and your psyche going through that every single day. What sort of training do you get to be able to mentally handle something like that? Like, what's training really like? Because we all know the drill sergeant that kicks your ass, yelling at Gomer Pyle and shit, Nothing but steers and queers come from Texas. You don't much look like a steer to me, so that just about narrows it down. Yeah.
Hey, that guy was a real drill sergeant. That guy's the man.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's done so many. I don't even know his name, but he's done so many great things. But what is it like that, or is there a lot of bullshit in that?
Yeah, it depends on the job that you do. So if you're like a mechanic, your life is not going to be full of combat stress. You're not going to be, so after the basic training portion, right? So for a guy who doesn't do combat, he goes through basic training for 9 weeks. When you do combat, you go through basic training for 16 weeks, right? 16. And then the drill sergeants that are there, like for a mechanic, he wouldn't have mechanic drill sergeants. There's just no such thing. He'll have an average or a guy who did any job who decided to go to drill sergeant school. And then boom, he lands to be a drill sergeant if he gets selected through the drill sergeant process. And I could be speaking out of line because I've never tried that. So they have to go, from what I understand, they go through basic training all over again. And they deal with, right. So, but for us, and this is important, the drill sergeant is our mentor, right? He is everything. And he has to do what we do. There can't be an infantry drill sergeant with us. He has to be a scout or a recon, you know what I'm saying, drill sergeant. He has to do the job, and he has to have experience in the job in order to teach the job, mentor us. And it's just a developmental process throughout the 16 weeks, because the first 9 weeks, they're fucking you up. They hate you.
They have to break you down and program you, right?
Right. And this consists of getting yelled at on a daily basis, and going out and doing training, whether it's running, whether it's learning about weapons you're going to be using in the future. But it's under a lot of duress. Like, it's not, hey man, today we're going to talk about the 249 short automatic weapon. Like, it's not like that. Like, it's more like, hey, piece of shit, like, come fucking over here, scumbag. And I'm going to show you how to do this once. And if you don't know how to do this back at me, I'm going to fuck you up, and I'm going to fuck your boys up too. So it's like, now these people that are behind me in line are relying on me to know what the fuck I'm learning. It's interdependent at all times. So if I get smoked, somebody else is going to get smoked, and I'm going to have to answer to that person after training, like during sessions, like, this guy's you're constantly proving yourself. This guy's a piece of shit. Don't trust him. Like, it's always, it's like a game of survival, basically. And you got to come together despite the fact there's people you don't like. You're like, fuck this guy. He doesn't give the attention I give. Or so it becomes problematic between drill sergeants and between peers. And you have to overcome all of that shit on a daily basis it's always, you're dealing with shit. You're just moving. And there's always stress. And then the last 5 weeks, despite the fact that they yell at you, they're more like, hey, you might go into shit and we got to teach you how to do this shit. We got to teach you how to do that shit. And it's more like, we're going to talk to you. You're going to have more access to phones to speak to your parents, but we could take those privileges away if you act up. So now, depending on the group, right? I started with 120 guys and there was 78 guys when I graduated. Okay. And I was top 10 of my class, specifically 8th in my class. So you're consistently grading yourself. You're always like, I'm trying to get there, but it's after those 6 weeks, it gets slightly easier. 5 weeks gets slightly easy. But I guess because you're always stressed, when you finally go and you go to your unit, it's not like that. So you just it feels like a weight falls off your shoulder. And when you go to Afghanistan, despite that there's firefights and stress, it doesn't feel like basic training. That at least that's how I felt. I was like, well, at least I'm not in this fucking place where there's a guy yelling at me. Now I have my first line of command, the people in front of me, were guys who were just like me, who went through the same process. Hey, you got to square the fuck away. Hey, private, you got to, and they talk to you, but more like mentors. They can still fuck you up, smoke you, and you do push-ups, but there's still a chain of command. So I think that's what gets you ready. See, I didn't get enough time to get ready for Afghanistan. I was done with basic training, and 2.5 weeks later, I was in Afghanistan. So wow. Bro, it was crazy for me. I don't know if I was a replacement, but I was going into a unit I didn't know. The guys there, they've been training for a long time. I only knew them for like 2 days before they left. And then I knew I was going to go with them, but I had to go afterwards because I had to get shots and things of that nature. But when I got there, these guys were tight and I was the outsider. So I had to deal with that shit. That shit was tough because I'm the new guy. Make the fucking new guy do it. The new guy hasn't had enough training. You want to feel sandbags? Why isn't the fucking new guy here? And it's always the goddamn new guy. So that's how it was a lot of the times,
Which sucks because now you have to work 10 times as harder to earn these guys' respect and get into the tribe, right?
Right.
But you
see
took
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And you took your shit and you took your lumps and you moved on.
Yeah.
You made your way in, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, now you're in Afghanistan. You've had your first firefight. What's going through your mind when you keep encountering all these firefights that keep going down? Like what are some of the thoughts, or does nothing run through your mind? Because in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, I might die. But you can't think that way, because if you think that way, that's what gets you killed.
Yeah, your poop comes out a little bit. It does.
Oh, okay.
It's not for me, at least for me, it was not. There wasn't a moment where I was like, all right, let's go. Well, my first time I was like that. I was like, let's go get him. And these guys are looking at me like, fuck you talking about? So they were like, what they told me was to do, they told me to run ammo to a certain point. That was my first time ever encountering a fire. You got to run ammo to this truck, because if you don't, they're running out of ammo. And this guy's over here laying waste on a 50 cal. And if you don't help him out if he doesn't got anything to shoot back, he's fucked, because he's out there by himself. They're pulling guard. God. Yeah. So I had to run with this guy named Michael Foster. Shouts out to Foster, my Guamanian friend. We had to run to a mortar pit first to the truck first to drop ammo. And then we had to run to the mortar pit to provide security, because there's these mortars that we're shooting at and they can't watch their own back. Somebody can come from that very same hill they're throwing mortars from, and we have to provide a level of security for those guys to do their job. So a lot of that was like that. Like, it was just, that's when I knew. When they sent me to the mortar pit, that fucking thing is just beaming in your bong in your fucking ear, because it's, how mortars go. They go up and they land and they blow shit up. So they're really loud all the fucking time. And at the time, earplugs were trash. They were ass. So that was when I first woke up, when I was shooting at these guys, providing security, returning fire. And these guys are in a mortar pit and they're like, hey, we got guys that are just a couple feet away. We never encountered them during that time, but wow, we heard it in the radio. They're like right there. So we're fucked. Now, you know, shit, you know, you're going to have to, you know, do some shit and you got to return fire and pick up your balls. But that moment right there, that's when I knew this shit's real. This isn't fucking fake, you know, like it got real quick. And getting ready for that moment built up for other moments, right? Learning how to react, learning how to behave, learning how to comport yourself because you can't be too erratical. There's been times where I've behaved the wrong way. People around you are looking at you like you're supposed to be a voice of leadership amongst us. We're a voice of leadership for each other. And you're supposed to be just as supportive. And because I'm not sharing that voice, is this guy going to defend me? Is this guy going to watch my six when shit goes down? So you have to always be stern. You always have to be pushing forward. You just like everybody else, we're all helping each other out. And then, you know, from there, it's just, the guys who are in charge of you, that leadership reflects our attitude. So if their leadership are bad, you're going to see us. But if that leadership is stern, we're going to be moving forward. And that's a lot of it, you know. That's in regards to firefights, that's how it was most of the time. It was like firemen. I just remember how firefighters put their gear on to go, you know, and that's how it felt all the time. I have to put my shit on and I gotta go. And it was like that a lot. So most of the time.
That's insane. Yeah. If there's anything that you're not at liberty to discuss as you hear them say on the movies, you can feel free to say like that's classified or whatever. Well, I don't know, right? I'm like, I don't know because you always hear that the military takes kind of maybe some issue with some of these stories being shared and broadcasted to the world. But if you're okay with it, hey, I'll leave it on, right?
I mean, I you know, we have a couple. We got a commander of ours that unfortunately lost his life, you know, and I think that by talking about it, you immortalize who they are. You make sure that their image lives forever, right? Because they made the same sacrifice, or they made more of a sacrifice than we did. They lost. They gave it all. So this gentleman, he was our captain, by the way. He was new. He was a ranger. I mean, he just wasn't a ranger. Just got his ranger tab. I got it because my ranger guys would give me shit. And he used to dress differently. And we used to warn him about that. Like, dressing differently gets you killed. But nonetheless, that's not, you know, what
do you mean by dressing differently?
He used to like wearing certain tunics, like certain camouflage. He looked slightly more high speed than all of us did. We had conventional gear, right? So this guy, we had napkins. He had a tablecloth. You see what I'm saying? Like he had nice shit. We didn't have nice.
So he was going to be more visible then, and that's what would have got him killed.
That's what we thought,
right.
You know. But that's things that I probably won't. If I share that, I think that I'd get a lot of slack back because you're talking about a guy who lost his life now, and you're saying what got him killed, and I don't feel like I have the credentials. You know, I wasn't inside that tent when that happened. When he decided, but I've heard rumors that guys were like, hey, he shouldn't have been wearing that stuff. And he wears it. Anyhow, he decided to wear it this one day. And on this entrance point, we were crossing this bridge, right, that they've made. That when I say they, I mean the locals around us. Remember, these guys are living in mud huts. They're part of tribes. Like Camdish and Nuristan are two different, you know what I'm saying? Like I was in between Camdish and Nuristan, and they were both different counties, but they were very small, different villages, if you must. And, you know, some of them didn't like each other. Some of them did because of their parents hating each other. So they had beef of their own going on. But anyhow, long story short, he crossed the bridge. He was crossing this bridge because we were doing this mission, and he blew up. And we were there, man. It was ugly, man. That was my first time where I was like, I'm lost. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what my place in everything in all of this should be. Like I was like, fuck, this is crazy. Because you're watching everything happen. And we're overwatching. So we're overwatching them cross this bridge. And when you're overwatching, you can't lose composure because you have to find out who's firing at them. You can't just go out there. You got to look at what's going on around you. So there was a lot of return fire, a lot of chaos. And, you know, the dude, shit, man, he got put in a Humvee. He got sent back to the aid station, which wasn't so far away. and you just dealt with the pain and the suffering. He wasn't unconscious. So you gotta see, or he was done, not necessarily dead, but he blew up so high into the air that when he landed, he broke his back. Like there's just more to it than just losing your legs. You know what I'm saying? So he ended up George Bush went to him and everything. They did the whole nine with this guy. Yeah, he deserved it all. But he was new just like I was. So it was insane because I felt like a certain relation with this guy, and I got to speak to him for a couple times, and I was like, man, you're new just like I am. Despite the fact that you're higher ranking, I kind of have this in common with you, that we don't know these guys that we're helping out. So they did a great job. They medevaced him out. You know, he got his awards, rightfully so, and they had to pull the plug on him. And yeah, that's tough, man, because you're just like, what the? And then we found two people that we felt guilty, and they looked guilty. It was a couple guys that we saw because they had to plant their IED nearby, and they had, and I remember the look on his face to this day. He was looking at me like if we let him off those cuffs, he was gonna kill us, bro. Like it was just face of anger, and he had blood in his uniform. I don't know why, but it was just like pissed off, like genuinely mad, but I didn't get to interpret that. I didn't have enough clearance to go in there and be like, what's going on? Like I can't, like a lot of people do that in movies, and I'm like, yo, that guy's not supposed to be in the room, bro.
Military movies are forever ruined for you now because you're just going to dissect it. Like, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, the older I get, the worse I get. My lady's like, shut the fuck up. Like,
let me just fucking enjoy it. We know it's not true. Fucking shut up.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's, long story short, we got through that. A new commander had to take over. New leadership has to be in place. And, other stuff happened. We had another guy who was a friend of ours. Not a friend of ours. He was our superior at the time. And he got blown up inside of a truck. And a B-10 rocket went in. And this man is by far probably one of the smartest people I met at that time, at that moment, before all that happened. This kid went through Ivy League university, just a smart guy. Too smart to be there, just trying to pay his college loans off. To now he can't do third grade math at the time, like when he came back because he got blown up. He was not in good, he was in critical condition. From what I heard, this is rumors. I can't confirm nor deny this, but this is what I heard. There was a helicopter, they took him to a place where they didn't have an actual brain surgeon there. So they had to get a surgeon guy to get on the phone or a guy who doesn't even I think it was a PA I don't know, I could be wrong, but he got on the fucking phone and he was getting directions on how to deal with this fucking traumatic brain injury that's oozing out of because he's got fucked up. So on the phone, my man is doing surgery, dog. Like I thought phone sex was a gift. This man is this man is, you know what I'm saying? He's playing chess through the phone, E4 to E5 shit. Like it's crazy. And he ended up saving his life despite the fact that I don't know. I don't know the details. My buddy Nash, he knows the details. He could give you more. But he unfortunately, he lost a piece. He didn't die. This man ended up coming back, getting his shit together. They rehabilitated him. He was the congressman's aide not so long ago in Michigan.
Oh, no way.
In stories like that, you go, fuck, like you made it out of that? Like, how?
That's a Hollywood story all on its own.
Bro, it's like this guy is a superhero, bro. And he has an adopted daughter. He has another, he's named this child Danger, because he used to say, Danger's my middle name. We're like, shut up, bro. And he named this kid, this Danger. But it's crazy. But yeah, this guy is a success story. And I think that those are the real heroes, man. That's Afghanistan in a nutshell. I think people are in different walks of life. They're trying to accomplish, whether it's their education get paid off. I was just trying to wear a uniform and be better than how people looked at me at the time. You know what I'm saying? I was 17 and I was just a bomb. Like, I was like, I got to do something with myself. So, wearing that uniform really brought that accomplishment.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see that. Also, too, you were 17. You really didn't give yourself much of a chance. You were this is what you were supposed to do.
I felt that way. Yeah. I got my I dropped out of school at 16, bro. And these recruiters helped me get my GED. They were like, you're fucking smart. Just sit here. And they would pick me up every day for 6 months. They picked me up every day and do math with me and help me through shit. And it's crazy. Like, I think about it now and I'm like, fuck, that's nuts. Why would you do that? I didn't have, nobody invested time. And these guys did. I'm here because of them, but I could have died too. All that math and all that science and good enough diploma would have got me killed, but not either way.
Well, let's say that you didn't go to the military.
Yeah.
If you had the ability to go back in time and not do the military, what does your life look like at that point? Do you have an idea of what it could be?
Probably a loser. I think, because I would love to be an actor and do things of that nature, but I never gave myself the chance to try it or to go that direction. Probably a musician. I love music. I play guitar. I would have gotten into it. When you're stuck in bad situations, you look for little things that you enjoy to get them. So I wasn't good at working, bro. I got fired left and right. You know what I'm saying? It was just bad for me. I would get into arguments with coworkers and I just wasn't good with leadership. So I would have been somebody different right now, somebody who probably would have been talking back to people, not had, the common people skills to be what's the word? To coexist with others, right? To play what, I just wouldn't have had
discipline.
Right. The discipline. Thing. Right. Yeah. Sure. So that's how it was, man. Like, I don't see, I'm glad I did this. Like, this was the highlight of my life so far, in my opinion. Despite of the bad memories, it's
it's insane for a Canadian to listen to this stuff, because I can appreciate what you do, but there's zero relation, like zero. Like, when you're saying all this, I'm thinking to myself, you're fucking nuts, dude. Like, that would, I would never. It takes a certain kind of courage and a fuckload of balls to go live out what you see in these movies, because what you see in these movies is pretty horrific. So you got to imagine that and amplify it by tenfold. Like, you're saying you witnessed a commander, you said, right?
Yeah.
Witnessed your commander, your captain, boom, like out of the thin blue fucking sky. You're just walking along and all of a sudden in seconds, bam. What's the psychological, I don't want to say damage, but what's the psychological downfalls coming home from something like that? Like, how have you been able to carry that through life?
So I'll answer that in a psychological way. I'll give you a psychological answer, and then I'll give you a regular person's answer. But I think in a psychological sense, you have all these emotions that have flared out during moments. Thrill, I don't know what other words. Sadness, right? You've had happiness. You've had camaraderie, brotherhood, and you've had all of these things that you're just on an emotional roller coaster for a year. So then you come back and nothing is ever as exciting as those moments, or even just deployed, not even stateside. I hated being a soldier at home. It was the worst. It was the absolute worst. But being a soldier overseas, you just dealt with so much. And it was crazy, right? You go from firing $1 million equipment. I was a javelin gunner. I shot a missile that cost $90,000, and $90,000, and I've shot, and I've missed the target too. This shit's crazy. If taxpayers only knew that we've been having a lot of fun with their money, that it's been crazy.
I'm trying not to laugh so that you can talk, but I have to. I can't help it.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's stupid. Like, it's because I was a kid with a GED, and I was the javelin gunner. What the fuck is wrong here? Like, it was. So you look at it in that sense, but you also understand that nothing is ever going to bring that excitement unless you stay there. And even the worst post-traumatic stress disorder, according to what I've been taught in school, is that there's a point where that shit doesn't even do it for you no more. Where the bullets whizzing by and you're just there, just smoking a cigar. It's like, fuck that, bullets, whatever. Like, PTSD, there's two forms of it, but the worst one is where you don't even feel that anymore, because then you don't have a sense of there's not a fear factor that stops you from saying, hey, there's a ledge there, don't jump off of it. Like, you're like, fuck it, I've jumped off the ledge. So that's the worst. The medium is you're just looking for things in life to bring you those emotional roller coasters, those camaraderie that you're getting shot at all the time, all that stuff. And you're looking for that anywhere. And you can't find it because you're a fucking former soldier now working at the fucking Dollar Tree. And they're just not going to get, a good shit from boxing goods. Like, it's not going to happen for you. So you become irregular, antisocial. You don't speak to people. You go through different places of psychology where it sucks. It blows and you're never the same. And it affects you in everything you do. And it's like a bug, like, I wonder how fast this car goes. And you're like, whoa, don't do that. Like, you're at home. You can't get in trouble. There has to be a medium. Shit like that. So things like that, you have to control yourself. Sometimes you create an argument just with my lady, just to bring all together, just to bring spice. What the fuck? And it's not me. It's these roller coasters of emotions that I've endured over there that now I don't know how to channel here. And that's, I think, you take that sample size and you put it onto anything, and you'll find similarities between veterans and us, or veterans and me.
So how have you been able to channel these things? Are you still working on channeling these things? Because how long have you been back home for now?
Yeah, I know I've been home for damn near 10 years. Like, it's been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but are you still in the process of trying to learn how to properly channel these things? Is that like a never ending thing?
Right. To me, it's almost like a car you always need to tune. It never stops. You can never stop tuning. Like, there's never a time where you go, okay, I'm recovered. Like, it's not like that. You pick up these things and you just, you deal with it as much as you can. And, you go to therapy, you talk to other fellow veterans, and you deal with it that way. I think that talking about it there used to be a time where talking about it was, don't talk about that shit, keep that shit deep inside, be a fucking man. Like, I think that talking about it is crucial because veterans want to talk. They do. They want to share their experiences. I hate to say it, but when you talk to a veteran about a shootout, if he's been a combat veteran, he's going to, yeah, man. And he's going to tell you his version too. And it's just, they want to talk, but they can't. Sometimes, like I said, it's been taught to keep it inside or to not talk about it. It's extremely healthy for, and the way it works right now, every 33 seconds, a veteran commits suicide. Yeah, those are, yeah, every 33 seconds. So that's no joke. That's 3 veterans a minute that have taken their lives right now. So you gotta really push it into perspective and talk about it. So yeah,
that's what I've been really pushing on my platform already. I'm only 4 episodes recorded in, but I'm always on that notion of we got to break some stigmas, and it only starts with just one person, one thing sometimes, right? So if I can be that one person or introduce that one person from a different perspective, because now you're speaking from a perspective that I can never speak from.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you're willing to be so open about things and like without getting yourself in shit anyway.
Yeah.
You get a call from the fucking military. So I hear you're on some Canadian podcast talking that shit, huh?
Come back now. Like, nah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
it
never hear from
speech.
Never hear from Joe again. Joe just disappears.
Plus, I was never important enough to be that guy to hold classified information. I was the guy at the door getting the IDs for people, making sure they had classes. I was like, you could come in, but I wasn't even allowed in the room. I could just let you through. That's the guy I was most of my life, as far as most of my military career.
Right.
Because you got to be really important to know shit. You know what I'm saying?
You got to really climb some ranks, right? Well, speaking of that, what rank did you climb to?
I was up to a specialist, and then they put me in a position of leadership, which is a corporal position, for about 2.5 months. I fucked that up. I'm a shitbag. I was driving for a colonel, bro, and I used to show up late. Okay. He'd be infuriated. Lopez, what the fuck? And this guy's a high ranking officer. You don't do that to this guy, And I came back from Afghanistan too soon, and I didn't get to decompress. I was just drinking every night, just partying, and just show up with a hangover. Is that alcohol I smell on your breath? Like, what the fuck? And he used to threaten me, like, I can demote you for that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, at one point, he just said, all right, I got to find 2 new guys. Because it was me and my buddy. We were both fucked up. We just came back. So they fired both of us from that position, which was an awesome position because you get a lot of freedom. And they put us back in the line. So now we got to go back with everybody else and kind of do training and shit. But being with those guys, I didn't have to do that. I have my own desk. And I just fucked it up.
So how did the military take care of you when you came home from your tour then?
Yeah, I think that's when they took care of me the most, was when I came back, when I left the Army. That's when I was like, okay, the VA did a solid job helping me. You know, I can't, you know, they're shit, but they're all right. The VA's cool, but it's bad. It's kind of like both.
Well,
it's like a girlfriend who, you know.
It's like a girlfriend. What? Sorry, go ahead.
Said it was like a girlfriend who just like, you know, she doesn't cheat on you, but she goes out late at night. You're like, bitch, what are you doing late at night? Sorry.
I'm so glad I had to run that back with you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the VA for you.
Because that's the reason why I asked, is because even on this side of the fence, you hear of the things that happen to American soldiers when they come home. The VA doesn't really take care of you. A lot of these guys are getting hooked on different drugs like opiums and stuff like that, and they're not getting mental health assistance.
Yes.
So that's why when you said to me that they kind of took care of you, I was kind of taken back. Like, really? They do? That's great. I'm glad they did.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy. You got to complain a lot. Like the first time I went, bro, it was like I was meeting Scarface at a drug deal. Like my psych, he was like, take this and take that. And it was like he was giving me just, bro, volumes of shit. Like, and I'm like, yo, I've only known you for, honestly, I swear to God, 10 minutes I've known this guy. And he's over here like, take this and you could, and he's just prescribing me medication I don't need. Yeah. And that shit fucked me up for like 3 years until I was like, no more of this shit. You know, I can't do it. I'm smoking pot, I'm drinking wine, and that's it. Kiss my ass, bro. You know, but it's you're right about that. They fuck up a lot. It's trial and error. We're like lab rats, you know.
Why do you think that is? Is it just because there's just not enough funding and they just don't have the time to take care of you, or do they just not give a shit, or both? Or
great question. I believe, and this is my personal opinion, I believe that these guys get professionals that come from, they don't have experience, or they are past their prime. Like I saw a fucking surgeon in Afghanistan. He was 81, bro. He was hunched over, right? And he had a white coat. I'm like, what the fuck are you going to do when shit hits the fan? You don't even look like he couldn't move. You look like he needed orthopedic shoes. I got to put my life alert, double ARP. Like it was a lot of crazy shit. Those are like insurance companies for old people.
Yeah, I know. No, it's cool. I know all about double ARP because I hear them talking about it all the time on TV.
Yeah. I don't know what the fuck he's going to do. Like it's shit like that just drives me nuts. So I think that they pick less qualified people because they're willing to take whatever money they give them. I don't feel like doctors are going to want to work for the VA if they don't make at least 120 or 100. You know, I hate to say it, but that's my notion of it.
It's insane to me that the military will invest so much into you, and so much of your economy and your country is built off of war and the military.
Yes.
To only take their biggest and best commodity they have when they've returned after making you that money, and then not put the money in to do whatever it takes to make sure you live a good quality life.
No, we just wanted you for war. And you know, it's like that. Like it's the weapon. The guy whose college education he was getting paid for, there was my weapon that I had to fire was just about as expensive as his entire college education. And why is that? Like, that's crazy. He's got to do 4 years of service. This weapon here is about 4 years of service if you were to put it in time, right, monetarily. So that's how it is most of the time. It's crazy. It's nuts.
It's insane to me. I'll never understand that portion of things, but I try not to talk too much shit about it because I'm not American, and I don't know what your way of life really is like and what military really means, and to be able to go and do the fucking thing. Right? So I'm not going to criticize too much, but I look
You're a good guy, man. You come with it within the right intentions. I can't knock you. I swear to God, you are a good dude. You're not like one of those guys who are trying to exploit it. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could give you some insight. You know what I'm saying?
You've given plenty. Nah, you've given plenty of insight in terms of what it's like for the first person mode in the war, and I appreciate all those things you said, because no, the intention, I'm just so fascinated by the story, because
Yeah.
I sit back and I think this is all stupid. Why are we even doing all of this
Oh
shit?
my
Like,
God. Right.
why are we going, why are these guys sending their people to die, and why do they have these inner cities that they keep poor so that they can
Yes.
recruit easier to get people into the military, and then they promise them this great life, and then they come home and their life is no fucking better off than it was before, and then you're putting them right back in the fucking inner city.
Yeah.
It's a
A lot of
vicious
people.
cycle.
Yeah, a lot of people, and especially like you said, keyword inner city people get stuck on that cycle. But there is a large community of people that are that are conservatives. No, I'm just saying conservatives,
Yeah.
Republicans. I love I love their ideology. See, I look at politics. I'm a la carte with politics. I'm not left or right. There's policies of the left that I like, and there's policies of the right that I like.
Same here.
I'm an independent, labeled as an independent, registered as an independent. And if you don't like it, kiss my ass. I'm just saying, because some of my friends don't even know this, because I don't know if you noticed, but my Facebook is very neutral. You know, I show like squirrels getting like nuts and like, you feel me? Like,
Yeah, you show very, very lighthearted stuff, and to me, that's what social media is
yeah.
all about. That's what I try to mostly do too.
Yes, good. So that, I don't like to post anything political because
Nothing.
I have friends on both sides.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not a fucking thing, because I have friends on both sides of the fence too, and
Sure.
like you, I walk down the middle.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, Canadians seem to really take on your guys' politics as if it's their own, and it really makes me laugh. Like, people get so uptight about Trump, and they have all these opinions about Biden and shit, and they're so deep on it to the point where it's like, do you live there? Like, do you live in America? Are you are you a tax-paying American citizen that votes? Because I'd be fooled if you put me in front of a computer right now and said, who is this person and where are they from? And I didn't know them personally. I would think, oh, they're fucking American as apple pie. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I find it crazy, but what
the best show in town, bro? It's because we're like the Kardashians, bro. It just works, bro. You don't know why. It just works.
You have no idea, but the thing is, it just causes so much divide. Like, why are we giving these people all this fucking clout when they don't deserve none of it? Like, all they do is fuck us. Look at all this shit with COVID.
Yeah, bro.
All over the place. In the States is a clusterfuck, because you got the states that run as if they're independent countries.
Texas.
Right? Texas, fucking the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and all that shit. Like, a lot of like, that's what I love about going to the States, though. It's like going to a different country each state. No state's the same. Nothing looks the same. But when you're in Canada, for the most part, like if you were to travel the prairies, for example, if you were to go to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, that shit pretty well looks very, very similar, the same.
Is it?
Oh, very much so. But when you go through the states, it's like every state you go through is designed to be some different weird ass looking fucking country. It's so
true. I think it's because all these cultures, you have all these like, for example, if you go to Texas, a lot of it will look like Mexico, and you go, why? And then you go, because it was. No, let me stop. Mexican people are like, yes, it is our place, but it's it's like that. It's culture based, right? You go, New York City is amazing.
I love New York City, bro.
So you get it. You go down certain streets and you go, why is everybody talking to me in Spanish? And then you go down to another place and there's like Chinatown, and you're just like, crazy. Like that's diversity. You love that.
That's what Canada is. The whole entire country is that. So when you go to Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, it don't matter what major city you go to, you're getting that.
Yeah.
But shit is awesome. But in New York, there's something different about it. Just like all the songs that you hear about New York and how amazing it is and shit. I remember when I first went there and I was taken to see Times Square, but the person I went with was there before, so they knew how to fuck with me. And they're like, look over to your left. And I look over to my left and it's like, fuck, nothing. And it's like, okay, what? No, he's like, my bad. Look at the right. And it's nighttime. Bam, there's Times Square. Lit right up. And you see
that's amazing.
You see this shit in the movies and TV and shit all the time. And then it's there right in front of you. Oh my, it's a sight to be seen.
Breathtaking experience. That's awesome. Yeah,
it is. That's the thing that pisses me off so much about the States, is that it's such a beautiful country and the people are so awesome and they have such a terrible label associated to them. But then you got a bunch of other Americans that do some fuck shit and get on the TV and get political and get left and right and Trump and Proud Boy and QAnon and this and that. There's so many fucking of these organizations in your country now. It's I can't keep up.
It's crazy, ain't it? It's crazy.
It's fucking insane. It's the craziest shit I've ever seen. Civil unrest is so high.
Yeah. Like, and if I could interject, and not to interrupt you, but I just want to say, because you're on a very good topic here, and it's just, if anybody's listening to this and they're in the right side or they're in the left side, just consider, please, to be in the middle, because it's bringing division. It's killing the identity of this country by making us look like we're a fucking shit show. Like you said, it's not making us look good. And you know, the right is going to say, well, we got our ballot stolen, and the left is going to say, yo, that guy wasn't even supposed to be president to begin with. That was a game show host. So you could have both of them argue about two different things, and they could be right. You don't know. But could we just unify as Americans and keep on living our lives? Because the most you make political lines, you're going to stand by yourself. And I don't know about you. I don't like being by myself, bro. I don't like desert islands. I'm not with that shit. A lot of people, they burned.
You're not trying to be Castaway, bro?
No, bro. Tom Hanks. Fuck that. Like, it's, you know, I have friends from both sides, and I listen to them and I go, you know, and even if it sounds a little radical at times, and I could be that voice in the room too, I just shut up and listen. And despite I disagree, I don't go, hey man, you're fucking wrong about it. Like, it's,
and I'm not going to be your friend now, and I'm going to ruin 20 years of friendship just because you have a different fucking opinion than me politically.
Bro, I've seen that.
That's all I see.
Seen that.
It's all I see online.
Yeah, bro. Relationships threatening each other to leave because of their status, political status. This isn't what we need to do. You know, we need to really go back to just coexisting and loving each other. And I think you have a beautiful point. That's why I cut you off, and I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. Hey, man. No, that's totally fine. And that's exactly where I'm at too. It's like, I don't understand what we're doing here, but this is government strategy. And it's not even just on an American basis. It's a worldwide basis with COVID, with allowing your politics to become so prominent everywhere else, because our media, that's all they pump out there is this, that, and the other. And that's why Canadians are so invested into it, to the point where you think that they're American too.
True. And I love that, though. I love that you guys know, because I know about Trudeau a little bit. Prime Minister Trudeau, is that the right guy?
Yep.
Okay, so I know about him a little bit. I know that he likes boxing, and I know that the man I feel like that guy was what Obama was to this country. I want to say, I don't know if that's too strong of a no. I don't know.
No, I'll answer that for you, and I'll say it. And there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna disagree, because there's a lot of Trudeau haters. But I'm gonna tell you that you're right, and I'm gonna tell you that you're right for two reasons. He very much is the Barack-esque. The reason why he's not fully, because he didn't break no racial barriers. He's just another white prime minister, right? Let's get that out of the way first and foremost. So in that regard, you can't compare what he's done like what Obama did, because whether you love Obama or you hate Obama, he was the first black man to get into office.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So
I see
there's
what you're saying.
Yeah. Right. So there's a certain amount of cultural significance of him being president. But
that was a hell of a comparison. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. Okay.
However, on the political basis, they're very similar. They've got that pretty boy, friendly looking, fun, cool, hip, young, liberal minded politician. Right?
I asked that guy for directions. He's cool. Like,
and that's why they were the best of friends for like the couple months that they were both in office together. And they were very similar in that regard. And they're also very similar in the regard as he has a very high fan support, but he also has just as much detractors that talk shit. Like Obama. There was a lot of people who hated Obama to the point where the Republicans voted in Trump. Like, that's how bad they hated Barack, is that they were like, fuck, this is our only hope. Our only hope to get into office is this fucking game show host, like you said, Donald Trump, the real estate guy.
I don't know what brought that, but that's our
hope.
I hear you.
That was so. And that's going to happen in this
The
country.
real estate guy.
Yeah, but that's what's going to happen in this country eventually. There's just going to be someone that's going to step up on the conservative side, and no one's going to give a shit what he's about. He could be a game show host, he could be radical as hell, it won't matter. They just want rid of this man that's in office who's so on the left, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen here too. But in that regard, they are very similar. They have a lot. Like you ask any Canadian that's going to listen to this right now, if there's a comment section anywhere where this is available, like YouTube, for example, there's going to be a lot of people like, fuck Trudeau, I fucking hate Trudeau, because it's. Those are the type of people that don't matter who's in office. They're going to say the same thing about them.
Yup.
Because really, I want anyone that says fuck Trudeau to tell me one fucking political leader or prime minister or president that they liked. I'm waiting, because I've never heard anyone be like, hey, you know what? That Bill Clinton, what a hell of a president. He was a great president. He did no wrong, that Bill Clinton. You don't hear that. You hear all you hear is, I fucking hated Clinton, or I hated Reagan, or I hated this, or
right. Yeah.
So I find the whole notion of politics interesting and funny. But you mentioned boxing a couple of times, and you're a big mixed martial arts guy. You like combat sports and stuff. How come you never got into professional fighting after you came home? I'm sure you were in condition to do it.
I was, man, but I got punched in the face twice, and I was like, this ain't for me.
Fair enough.
Like it was just, I got I got wiped on the floor by 3 Marines because I was drunk talking shit, and it was a high bar. So imagine those high tabletops in Applebee's, you know, the ones you kind of got to stand up to eat. They're very high.
Yep.
I don't know. And they slid me through that, and they punched me in the face and beat the hell out of me. That's when I knew, like, I'm like, fighting is not something I resort to. It's not my best skill. I'm not a good, despite that, I believe it or not, I was raised in karate. My grandmother used to take me to karate from.
You're going to be the next karate kid?
From 5 to 10, I got 5 years of Kyokushin karate. Okay, I got a strong sidekick. Okay, not like Joe Rogan, but I got one. And you know, like it's. I did combat. I did tournaments, and I came in 4th place. Despite the fact that I didn't feel like I came in 4th place, I got my ass kicked by 3 different dudes, and it was a tournament. And I think they gave us all the rest of the guys 4th place trophies. You feel me? Like,
well, when there's only 4 of you, of course they're gonna give you a 4th place.
This is bad, bro. Like, it's just, you know. But that was basically it. You know, just not, you know, did little martial arts here and there. But you know, my brother, he could take a punch. My brother joined the Marines after I joined the Army. You know, and he's the one who he looks more of a Marine than I probably look like a soldier. You know,
if you didn't want to take a punch and you were into all this stuff and you had the athletic background and the karate and whatnot, and as far as I'm concerned, you at least at one point were a pro wrestling fan. Why the fuck did you not get into pro wrestling?
Bro, to be honest, my talent was baseball. I was exceptionally good at it. I put on my freshman team, they put me in a varsity squad. And my pride was hurt because they wouldn't play me for their 4 games they had left of the season. But I was playing 3rd base. I was smoking these high schools, bro. I was going 3 for 3, 4 for 4. I was balling, you know, and I felt great. As a freshman, I was like, I'm gonna kill these guys. This ain't shit. Like, I'm gonna be top of my lineup. There was one guy who was ahead of me, and he could the dude could hit the ball. He was a first baseman who could hit the ball. But I felt that was my talent, and I didn't have the right support. You know, you have a grandma. And then you don't really talk to your dad at the time. It was, you know how it goes. This is a typical inner city story, right? A broken family. You're coming from another country. You don't have to, somebody in your side that picks up on things and helps you through. You don't have enough guidance. Your pride gets in the way. You're a young kid, right? And I don't know. It's just, you ever notice that young kids talk back to parents awfully loud? Like, they just talk, and I'm not a parent, but I look at my sister and I'm like, damn, you're tough. Like, she just, so what, mom? Like, it's just like, shush, like it's
kids
right.
These days don't get any fear from being spanked or whatever, because how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, I'm 31.
You're 31. I'm 34 in a couple weeks. So you're in my generation. So when you spoke out of line, you got your ass beat.
Yes, yes.
Right.
You and I have similar birthdays, by the way. Need to say that right now.
What's your birthday?
March 1st.
Oh shit. Okay, you're 4 days before me. Okay.
I
Fellow
know.
Pisces, what's good?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, dog. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
that actually explains a lot fucking more, to be honest with you.
yeah, bro. Yeah, dog. Yeah, we cool. We go with the flow.
That's right. And sometimes
Yeah.
they're rocky waters, and sometimes the waters are calm and cool. Just, you never know
Mm-hmm.
what day you're gonna get,
Mm-hmm. That's
but
true.
but yeah, a lot of kids these days they talk that shit because they're not they. It's a different way now, and it's the right way. We shouldn't have gotten our asses beat, but then there's that part of me that thinks, well, maybe some of these little motherfuckers that be talking that shit need a little ass kicking, if you ask me.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I'm not a parent, so that's out of line for me to say in a way, because I like.
Same. But I just watching it, I go, being young, you don't have any direction. A lot of time is our young pride, or maybe, I don't know, it depends. I was a bit of a firecracker. You couldn't tell me what to do. I didn't like it. Don't fucking instruct. I got it. Like,
I
I know
was
how to
bad
do
like that too. Yeah.
it. Yeah. And wrestling to me was not like, I didn't think you could be a professional wrestler at the time. You know what I'm saying? I thought those guys came out of the cereal box and they were bang, and now we got Steve Austin. Like, I didn't go back. My uncles did. My uncles watched, holy smokes, watched like Hulk Hogan era. Like, before then, I'm not so versed in it. I came in, Steve Austin and The Rock, those guys were big.
So you came in during the Attitude Era.
The Attitude Era, yeah.
I was in it from jump, right from Hulk Hogan.
Bro, when I talk to you guys, I'm like, I love listening to your stories because you guys got a lot of insight on a lot of shit that I couldn't pick up, or I didn't know this match ever existed. Like, you are an encyclopedia, my friend.
I know a fair amount of shit, yeah, because it's all I've ever watched, and I still love it to this day. And that's why I look at your story and I hear your story, and I know you love pro wrestling. It's like, shit, why?
Yeah.
Because you got charisma too. You have a look. Yeah. You could have been something doing that, and especially now the performance centers in Orlando for NXT.
Yeah, dog, you're saying that? I know two guys. That my barber, he's super cool. He's a fucking shout out to Marquis. My man is a breast. You just saw the ad that I put on there. He's the task force.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah,
bro. And they're gonna wrestle in Orlando, and he's the one who runs the wrestling school here in Daytona Beach, and not runs it, but he's in it, and he works you out and shit. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, dude, how do you do this? And he sent me. I got it on my messenger. He sent me a fucking flyer about this shit. It's crazy to me, like. So you're saying this now, and I'm like, dude, this guy just offered this
to train you,
like to train, to be part of the school. He's like, come be part of the school. Like, we'll train you, we'll get you in shit. But this dude he's built, man. Like, he's put time into his body that I'm not sure. I'm like, damn, by the time I'll be able to lift you up like that, like, how the hell would I be able to do that? Like, it's just some of the stuff. Like, he's got a fight coming up on the 22nd or the 27th, one of those 2 days. And yeah, I'll show you who he is. I'll give you more information. But you're saying this, and I'm like, dude, I love local wrestling. Like, I support all this shit. It's so much fun.
Oh, it's so much fun. Local wrestling is probably even more fun because you don't know really a lot of these people. You might be friends with some of those people, and then you go see them do their thing, and you're hip to the business. You're smart. You know that it's a work, right? You know that it's not real. As they say, which I hate that term, real and fake. Oh, wrestling's fake or wrestling's not real. All right. Okay. So,
bro, that shit hurts your body, bro.
The movies that you watch, are they real? No. What's the purpose of a movie? To suspend your disbelief.
Right.
This is live movies happening in front of you. Live action movies with a simulated wrestling match that's predetermined. That doesn't necessarily mean it's fake. Go take a bump is what I say to all these guys. Making cocaine or like, I'm not taking a bump of cocaine. No. Go into the wrestling ring and take a bump.
I'm good.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you, bro. No.
Yeah, my dude is. Yeah, that's crazy.
I've done it. I've been to a wrestling school before. I tried it for like 2 weeks, and I took a couple bumps, and I was in better physical shape at that point. Now I couldn't because I have a condition I have like spinal stenosis, kind of. It's called degenerative disc disease. But the same thing that Edge and Steve Austin and all those guys had to have their shit fused, and then they had to retire, right?
Yeah.
Well, except for Edge. Welcome back, Edge, Canadian boy. But
Edge. I can't stand him, but he's cool. He's a good heel.
Yeah, he's a great heel, but now he's the big baby face because he came back when he shouldn't have, because of the same thing that we both have. So which is incredible, but I couldn't take a bump now, but I took a bump then, and that shit fucking hurts when you don't know what you're doing. Because when you fall back, a lot of times you got to take your hands out and you got to basically slap the mat as you're going backward while tucking in your chin and landing on your back in a certain way, and it doesn't feel as bad. But to get to that point, you're smacking your head off the mat, you're doing like you're hitting your chin off your chest. Yeah, it sucks. So after like a week or two, I'm like, you know what? I just really enjoy watching this, but it gave me a better perspective on what they do, even though I already respected what they do.
Sure.
And I think that's the thing that pisses me off, is that people just don't respect what they do. And it's incredible to me. It's like,
you have to
go get tossed off of Hell in a Cell through a table, and you tell me how that feels.
Bro, was it The Undertaker who did that to Mankind?
Yeah. He almost killed the fucking guy.
Bro, that will stay embedded in my head for the rest of my life, bro.
The man's tooth was in his nose when he got choke slammed through the top, because if you watch the Undertaker series called The Last Ride, it was very similar to the MJ documentary.
Okay.
And it did like the last years of the Undertaker's career before he called it quits. And then he was interviewed about that Hell in the Cell incident, because Undertaker's never really done press throughout his career. He always wanted to keep the mystique of being the Undertaker, which required being silent. But now he's like, I'm at the end of my career and I have a bunch of shit to say, so I'm going to say it. So he was talking about tossing Mick off the cell. And when he choke slams him in the middle, that wasn't supposed to give out. They already knew kind of going up to the cage, they're like, okay, this is feeling kind of loose. And they felt that area out and they felt it was kind of loose. But he wasn't supposed to be choke slammed through that cell. And when he did that, Taker stood there for a second and thought he killed him. He thought he killed him. And then he was so relieved when Mick got up that he just didn't know what to do.
Holy shit.
Yeah, now keep in mind, Taker's got a broken ankle now, and now he comes back into the cell by jumping back in off the hole in the roof onto that busted broken ankle, and then continued to work the rest of the match. So you tell me that shit's fake. That's why I get so personally offended when people talk shit like that.
Nah, that shit's fucking crazy, dude. Fuck, bro.
There's so many stories of shit like that, but if you ever have the time on the WWE network, the Undertaker Last Ride series, really, really good watch.
For real, I gotta check that shit out. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, even non-wrestling fans, everybody knows who the Undertaker is. Everybody that's listening to this right now knows who the fucking everyone we've mentioned, people are hip to. But if I started saying names like Daniel Bryan and stuff, I've probably lost everyone. They're like, who?
Yeah. Yeah, you lost me. I'm not gonna lie. You probably lost me a little bit, but those guys are gods, though. The shit they put their bodies through,
it's been a lot of fun shooting the shit with you.
Likewise.
Shop.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming onto the show.
Yeah,
hey, man. Thanks for showing the enthusiasm for wanting to come and talk shop, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. You have a good night over there. Thank you, everybody who's working on this. And yeah, don't forget to please follow this man. He's the man, Stu Francis. It's just the podcast god, right? Muchas gracias.
Thank you, bro. And, take care and have a good night, eh?
Likewise, brother. Have a good one.